Muchachos y muchachas, the Wall Street Journal recently published a very damning article on Instagram and their very nefarious networks of fans of the playground. Now, this research that was a collaboration between Wall Street Journal, Stanford University, as well as University of Massachusetts Amherst, it just makes me feel so vindicated, along with my team over at Counter Trafficking Alliance, as we conducted a very similar and identical investigation earlier this year that put our eyes on the same exact things. We're going to go through the article as well as some things that could add color to the article, as we have discovered with our own personal investigation at Counter Trafficking Alliance, which is a nonprofit that I own. We aim to combat trafficking as well as helping the smaller ministries that need assistance. We'll talk about that a lot later, but this article definitely affirms everything that we have seen and things that we reported. But there is an additional thing that was not an experience of Wall Street Journal or the universities that I mentioned, and that was something that happened to one of my researchers when she tried to do the right thing in reporting this nefarious network outside of Instagram. We're going to go through the scenario because it goes deeper and it paints a wider picture of how big the problem is. With that being said, hold on to your butts, secure your wigs, stay right there. We're going to go through it. All right, so let's give credit where it is due. The Wall Street Journal, I am actually pleasantly surprised that they did this investigation piece, okay? I know that we have our criticisms of mainstream media outlets out there that have done poor jobs of reporting, but I will say that this is one cause that I truly believe that both sides of the aisle will unite on. I believe that people want to vindicate this really ugly, nefarious problem in our society. And I have to give credit where it's due. I'm so glad that to see academics that are actually interested in exposing something like this. That means that the generations in our world are coming up in a spirit of righteousness that want to see this type of stuff eradicated, and therefore they are going through lengths to expose this and demonstrate academically, illustratively, and journalistically that this is a big, huge problem. Okay, so I'm going to go back and forth between the research that my team did earlier this year as well as this article, because this article actually is very good, but there are certain things that could supplement what they are talking about, okay? So the Wall Street Journal, they talk about doing a collaboration research on this matter with the University of Stanford, Stanford University, vice versa, and the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Now, we know that these fans of the playground, they thrive on the interwebs, right? They thrive in every single crevice and corner that you could imagine. And when you think that your child is safe on their Roblox app or their community, game app or whatever, right? When there's collaborative efforts in those types of apps, just know that there is a fan of the playground that is actively scouring for the opportunity to jump, right? So they have used the internet for various amounts of time, as it mentions here. Now it says that usually there are platforms like file sharing sites, forums, things like this, where these fans of the playground will go to exchange these types of content pieces, CSAM as we like to call it in the anti-trafficking world, which stands for this right here. But actually on Instagram, it's much worse, because not only does this content exist on Instagram, but it says here, its algorithms promote them. Instagram connects the fans of the playground and guides them to content sellers via recommendation systems that excel at linking those who share niche interests, the journal and the academic researchers found. And then they talk about hashtags that also help and aid and abet these fans of the playground to find these accounts, okay? Now let's jump to this thread here, because this is where I put most of the findings. So here is, for instance, these profiles. They hold, you can see right here, like we had to blur everything out, and it is as bad as you think. And believe me, like when you go into things like this, you go in not knowing what to expect, but it goes on and more nefarious, and the content is more racy, and it's really disgusting, right? Like this things like this, you should never have to enter a social media app such as Instagram and have to shield your eyes of things like this. But yet here we are, as you can see in this little screenshot. I'm not going to go through all of this. By the way, this was a video already. I'm going to link those 2 videos in my description below if you wanted to see this more intricately. But there were photos of children, and as you would have it, they had to be blurred out for this demonstrative piece. Now, and we continued to go on. There were profiles that had pizzas and symbols and all types of things, right, to solicit what they were talking about. Okay, which was fans of the playgrounds type things. And there are various examples here. I'm just going to scroll through. Once again, you can go visit those videos if you want to see this more thoroughly. And then we came across these profiles that would solicit outbound, right? So there are profiles that are private. So there, we don't know what the heck there is going on beyond that. And believe me, we are not going to go and find out. We don't want to follow these accounts because who knows what else they have, right? There are public facing accounts where you don't need to enter in or request access as a private account. And it's bad enough with the public accounts, right? But we don't even know what goes on the background of these private accounts. Now, there is this one here that connected outbound to Telegram. Then they, did the whole exchange there, right? And we're just going to kind of go down because this is kind of repetitive of what I explained in the videos. Once again, linked in my description below if you guys want to go check those out. All of this content is in there. Now, it came to, this is the part that mentions the algorithms, okay? So we came across, in our investigation, these profiles that were simulating womanly autonomies with child faces. And they are CGI, and that presents another problem and another conflict that we have to think about, right? We don't even know how to approach that type of conversation where it's like, how can we say that this is CSAM if there's not an actual child in there, but yet it's still exploitative and exploitative, and it still promotes this idea of children, right? So it's still not good. But how do you even approach that type of conversation with, say, our congressmen and senators and lawmakers, right? How do we approach this conversation? Because it is bad, and things like this should not exist. But there are manufactured images of, of little girls, and so, which brings me to my point. This manufactured image of the CGI, right? These are obviously fake images. I'm going to try to zoom in here, and this is all blurred so you can see the faces. So the faces look very childlike, right? What you see in front of you, but the bodies I blurred because obviously they look like, very racy pictures of women. And then you see here, so in this personal example, you can see here that that the algorithm was actively promoting other accounts right here. Look, this is the same thing. CGI produced images. So why, if this is a fake account, was saying that it's a fake account, that it's a CGI person, it's an 18-year-old, but then this algorithm is promoting, these are children. These are real live children. Okay. So this is what they were talking about. All right, so you have fake AI CGI images, and then the algorithm promotes it to actual children. So that's what they're talking about. All right, they're saying that some of these accounts had menus of content. Certain accounts invite buyers to commission specific acts. Some menus include prices for videos of various nefarious things, including the children. And then they're talking about how Meta has said that they're combating the problem, which is non-existent. It's non-existent, and I'll even go through that problem with you guys as well. Yeah, they're talking about Instagram and the big problem it is on there, okay? So I went through the bread and butter with you guys, really the meats and potatoes. And I kind of want to go through the Instagram response to this. So as you can see, there is an actual warning prompt that they came across, okay? Now, we didn't even think to look at these type of hashtags. And obviously, like, for obvious reasons, we don't want to go through these hashtags, okay? I can tell you right now, and I just checked because there were some profiles that are screenshotted through that thread and through the archives that we took. There are some accounts that were screenshotted in that I went back to check to see if they were still up, and they are still up. And so with that, we kind of branched out and looked at the networks that they had. Now, I haven't seen this, but this is what they came across, that there was an actual notification prompt that said that these results may contain images of CSAM. Okay. And then there, you see the button at the bottom that says get resources, or, oh, see the results anyway. Okay. So, which shows that Meta was complicit in this problem. They were complicit. They didn't even forbid a person, like imagine they forbade me from searching a hashtag back in 2019, 2020, whether it was WWG1WGA, right? That was one hashtag that was completely banned. Others that were banned also, right? And so many accounts, including myself, were nuked and gone, and they were completely eliminated for telling the truth about what was going on at the time. But then you have things like this that will actively show you a prompt. Hey, this might contain CSAM. You want to see it anyway? That's basically what it's saying. So Meta knew about this problem, okay? And they talk about the pizzas, emojis, and all that. I showed you guys that, okay? One thing that I also want to add context to the reports, right? So I talked about my team reporting these particular accounts, these particular posts for Meta to take down, and they did not. And I wanted to show you guys proof of that because it is important, okay? So there's more of those accounts, more of those accounts, more of those accounts. I'm telling you, it was just a lot. A lot of these accounts are still up. A lot of these networks are still up, okay? Okay, so first of all, I want to show you guys this. It is very difficult, and these are actual, because we asked help from our followers to report certain images and to basically archive the response from Meta/Instagram, and this is a response we got. Basically, they didn't take it down. They didn't take it down. And they basically communicated that these are still going to stay up, right? So these are various messages from various people saying the same thing, that the account is going to stay up, and there's nothing that they can do right now, right? So various. I recorded this, right? Now, also the reporting system is very hard and arduous to report an actual account, right? It makes it very hard for the user to report these types of accounts. It says to visit our help center, which then opens up to another window, a web browser, and it doesn't really give you a straightforward way to report an account, okay? So that's another thing that is really, really bad, okay? This is just another example of them, why the algorithm is actively promoting real life girls with the CGI accounts. I mean, think about it, like the CGI accounts, it doesn't make sense that CGI accounts that say that the account is a supposed 18-year-old fantasy girl, a CGI girl, why would they be promoting these real life girl accounts with CGI? You catch what I'm saying here? So this is where the deeper, darker problem illustrates itself, okay? Now, you saw that Instagram was not going to do anything about it, right? They already said by various times, by various users reporting these pieces, an account that, oh, we're not going to take it down. Basically, we're not going to take it down. Doesn't violate our blah, 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 or, what have you. So they're not taking it down. Well, one of my organization members thought, okay, well, if Instagram is not going to take down this content that is very nefarious and illegal, then maybe I can go to, let's say, any other agency and report this, in which she did. And I believe that she did the right thing. Okay. So this is verifiable, tangible proof of my board member calling various agencies. You can see that 𝘵𝑚C's phone number is there, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I don't think she got through to them, and so she called the DOJ switchboard. Do not harass any of these people, any of these agencies or groups. This is only for illustrative purposes. If you truly do need the help of the DOJ or 𝘵𝑚C or, the three-letter agency that I'm going to list, please call them on your own volition for your unique problem. Do not call them in regards to this. So continuing on, as you can see, she called 𝘵𝑚C, she called the DOJ switchboard, and she also called a three-letter agency that starts with an F. Now, when she called the three-letter agency that starts with an F, they actually told her to report this to her local law enforcement, and which she did. And so she called the local law enforcement. And the thing with local law enforcement, just as an educational factor, guys, so local law enforcement, in case you don't think that they're doing anything, it's the fact that they have such short resources, right? So they already have big fish to fry on the daily with local responses, fast time responses, right? But you have to also think that they don't have a lot of resources, or are given a lot of resources to respond to this type of thing when it's happening not immediately, if that makes any sense, right? So not only that, local law enforcement only gets an allocated capped budget to fight this type of thing, right? So the law enforcement is definitely underfunded. They are understaffed and under-resourced. So just to give you guys insight as to why local law enforcement wouldn't do too much if pertaining to your locale, right? So as you will see here, on February 2nd, the three-letter agency called my member back, okay? You can see that it was an incoming call. It was 7 minutes. And my board member reports that initially this type of call insinuated that they were actually concerned. They were actually interested in what she had to say. And so she was actually enthused that they were taking interest to the case, and that they could even possibly create a case, in which they then instructed her to come into their office. So she goes to the three-letter agency, thinking that they were interested in taking on a case and creating a case about this. This is her visitor's badge here. Obviously, I'm going to redact information pertaining her, but just showing that there was some sort of sign-in in which they told her that basically that she shouldn't be investigating this type of stuff. So they reprimanded my member of my organization for doing what is publicly available, for looking into what is publicly made available. And they actually intimidated her into not doing this. Now, not only that, but they almost in a way took, I'm not saying that they took side of Instagram, but there was something said to her saying that Instagram does not owe her anything, in which was a very surprising and just a very shocking thing to say, coming from a three-letter agency, right? Now, from that, they actually took it a step further by saying because she was poking around and clicking links that are, by the way, available on Instagram to click very easily in the bio, because she was there communicating with the nefarious individuals that are located mostly on Telegram, that she could have been charged. You heard that right. A member of my investigation team was threatened that she could have been charged for simply looking at things that are publicly made available on an app called Instagram. So instead of taking interest on, possibly working together to nab the bad guys who are here exploiting children on the internet, trading nefarious images, CSAM images, instead of working with individuals who are truly concerned, instead they are reprimanded, they are intimidated, and even threatened with charges, in which they took her laptop and we don't even know what the heck they did with it. And it's wild what happens to everyday citizens that are actually concerned with the things that happen to our newer, younger generations. And that these three-letter agencies are willing to more so intimidate and threaten normal everyday citizens that have these concerns than to actually reaffirm the things that we're concerned about. Something that I personally expected from this type of agent or individual was, maybe educate us on a more correct way to approach this. Educate us on a more appropriate vessel to report this on the internet, right? Maybe they do have a very effective tip sheet. Okay. But there was a readily available made phone number that my member called, and instead of helping her and reaffirming that what she saw was bad and that they would help and, or keep it on file even, instead she got intimidated. And then the cherry on top is that this agent told my member, the organization member, that talking about me, because she had to give details as to how we conducted this investigation, that I should actually go to my local three-letter agency office and talk to agents there. That's what I was told. This is so nefarious and so big and so much deeper than Instagram that I can imagine. Okay? If you have to intimidate and go on the defense for a social media app that is actively exploiting children by CSAM, there's something, I don't know what to say about that, how to exactly pinpoint that, but there's something going on there where you take the side of individuals that promote nefarious activities and everyday citizens that are concerned about that then. And that's what I have to say. I mean, I am still flabbergasted up to this point that this three-letter agency would rather do the latter than what was sooner mentioned. Intimidation versus helping. And that's what I have to say, guys. I'm going to link those two videos in my description below. I just thought that I would share that experience with you all, that this is a much deeper problem. And, that certain agents out there are just really bad apples. And I would encourage them to change their views and change their interacting demeanors with everyday citizens that are concerned about this. It's truly a problem. With that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.